Section86.com. We're changing the world of podcasting one show at a time.
86 Productions.
Take what you wanna take. Don't leave me here. Lasting leap years ever your fear of the one and only love.
Hello and welcome to Off the Mark, the best podcast providing the most in-depth insight and analysis into the world of professional wrestling. On today's show, we have Aaron, Roger, and Doug to join Andrew as we discuss this month's view from the turnbuckle. Aaron, what's the biggest news of April?
Well, it's going to be Bruno Sammartino passing away tragically. He was up there in age, but he is one of the biggest stars WWE has ever had. People talk about Hogan, which obviously popularized everything for the mainstream audience, but Bruno really kept the WWF afloat for a number of years. He held the title for 7 years. He sold out Madison Square Garden countless times. You don't keep the title on somebody that long if they're not drawing money, and he obviously was. So sadly, he passed away, but he leaves a very long and storied legacy behind.
What a great title run and everything like that he has done. He is a pioneer of wrestling. His tributes to everything that he's done is going to be missed. I am glad that he got into the Hall of Fame. I'm glad that him and Vince seemed to patch things up at the end. So I think he went away happy and truly will be missed.
I echo both your guys' sentiments, especially the fact that he got in the Hall of Fame. I'm glad he was able to do that while he was still alive. He was obviously a name that most of us don't truly appreciate because he was before our time, but he was the Hulk Hogan of his era. He was the champion for a long time for a reason. He meant a lot of things to a lot of people. He was one of the most famous people, not just in wrestling, but in general during his era. So he was very popular. And I can say maybe the only silver lining is that a lot of wrestling stars die far too young. Piper, Warrior, Savage. Bruno lived a very long life, a very good life. Not saying I'm happy about his passing, but I'm glad that he lived his life to the fullest. I'm glad he reconciled with the E before he passed away. He will be missed. Fantastic star.
And it reminds me of what happened with Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior was on the outs with WWE. He couldn't stand them. And then all of a sudden he came back, and unfortunately for him, he was in the Hall of Fame, hit Raw, and then the following day he passed. But at least Bro has been he was in the Hall of Fame, and he's been back since. And this is one of those times I think we have to thank Triple H, because he was such a big fan of Bruno, and he has Bruno's belts actually in his office, believe it or not. So the other disappointing news, John Cena and Nikki Bella split up. Roger, I know you're devastated about this. What are your thoughts? Do you think she can see him now, or she can't?
I heard the reason the relationship broke up is that she couldn't see him, and that makes it very tough. No, but I mean, in serious, right? Something about this always seemed odd to me because, to my knowledge, and obviously I don't know either one of them, I'm not in their life, but Cena was very clear about his desire to not want to have a family and kids, and he was very hesitant even about being married. And from all reports, Nikki Bella very much wanted a family. She wanted children. She wanted to settle down. So I'm sure while they had great chemistry, logically, this didn't really make sense long term. I don't know what caused the split. I don't know if it was something as simple as Cena got cold feet, but it's over. Wish them both the best. See how good Daniel Bryan is, and maybe he make the dream live again. Keep fighting for your dreams.
The timing of it kind of seems a little weird. And it, like Roger said, it didn't seem. John Cena's never been vocal even about getting married again or anything along those lines. From everything I read online, it looks like the children aspect of it was the killer, where Nikki wanted children and Cena does not. So, you know what? They went on their mutual ways. I'm sure they both had their good luck on their future endeavors. So, not really sad about this. I really couldn't. I just the timing seemed a little bit too much of a work aspect, because I think the Bella show is coming up, or just should have been just finishing wrapping for their season. So,
and from all reports too, apparently they recorded the breakup.
Right.
So they I have something to talk to you about. Okay, camera, get here.
Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
No.
Those are reports that we're reading.
Oh,
Obviously,
geez.
we won't know until it actually airs. But the reports are that he was recording it while they actually did the breakup. So,
I mean, it doesn't surprise me when you sign those reality contract. It's they get to record everything in your life. Like that is the deal. Hey, here's a thought: relationships are volatile. Maybe you don't let them propose at WrestleMania just in case it doesn't work out.
So does this mean that Miz is actually 2-0 against Cena now at Mania?
Oh. Ooh.
Good night, folks. That was fun. We'll see you next month.
Still not as good as Doug's from last month, but I'll take the sign off one. Moving on to the Superstar Shakeup, Andy, we had some Raw stars go to SmackDown, SmackDown stars go to Raw, NXT call-ups come up as well. What sticks out to you on either side of things?
Well, I didn't want Bobby Roode to leave, so unfortunately he's going to go to Raw and get buried, because it's Raw. I was really happy that, I don't usually when Jinder comes on SmackDown, I'm disappointed because they could have put anyone else in that position. So now he's going to be on Raw and they have 3 hours to kill. He can stay over there. Hopefully they'll bury him, but because Vince likes him, he's going to be like, he's going to be in the main event, botching stuff like he did at the greatest Royal Rumble. Yeah, of course, everyone knows what happened there. When he falls down. Other than that, I'm happy that Jeff Hardy went to SmackDown. I think it's good. You split his brother and Bray Wyatt, and you put Bray Wyatt and Matt as a team, and I think you can do stuff with that. I like Samoa Joe on SmackDown. I think he'll shine. I wish Big Cass was back on Raw. He does not need to be on SmackDown whatsoever. And actually, I'm just mad that we lost Bobby Roode, and I'm also mad that we got Big Cass. If Big Cass would have gone over there and we would have kept Roode, I would have been fine. Then I think that we would. We already won the shake-up. SmackDown did, but it's just one of those things.
I agree with Andy in the sense of this was fantastic. And I think for both shows, but obviously SmackDown's the show I care about more because it has the wrestlers that I care about for the most part on the show now. The only person in the top half of the scene that I dislike is Big Cass. I see nothing in him. I don't care. I wish he was on Raw. Let him get fed to Braun or Roman or Lashley or one of the other tall McIntyre, whatever you want to do. And Bobby Roode with a heel turn on SmackDown would have given them a fantastic quartet of, wow, you've got some really talented heels now with Almas coming up, with Joe, with a reinvigorated Nakamura. Like you could have had an unbelievably fantastic roster. Having said that, I love what they did. I think they made a very clear distinction between the type of shows these are going to be. Raw is Vince McMahon's idea of what a show should be. It's sports entertainment. It's big guys. It's all about creating moments. The matches are going to be meh. Like, you're just not going to get many classics. The IC belt is going to be the workhorse belt. That's where you're going to get those great matches. Balor and Rollins and McIntyre when he gets involved and all that kind of stuff. Other than that, though, the main event is going to be Roman Reigns spearing a bunch of big giants, Braun Strowman power slamming a bunch of big giants, same old, same old. That's why I feel bad for Roode, because there's no spot for him here, which means he's taking L's. SmackDown, on the other hand, oh my God, the potential is unbelievable. Like, this has become Super NXT, which was already itself Super Indies. You're talking about right now Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura. Those four, if you would have told me that was the top of a WWE show, I would have laughed at you. And now that's what SmackDown has. I mean, the potential for the matches, not even on the pay-per-views, but on the shows themselves, are unreal. And I'm really excited to see when Joe comes over and ascends to the top or one of the top spots, what they can do with this show, especially getting a guy like Daniel Bryan back where you've got someone who's stone cold over. SmackDown won. They got rid of so much dead weight and only gained Big Cass at dead weight. I'm excited every week to watch SmackDown.
I just wish that they would have got Seth Rollins. That was the one another person I wish they would have got. Because I think even him and Finn together, granted it would hurt Raw, but then you would have SmackDown. And you're like, wow, you could have a pay-per-view show 52 weeks out of the year, which is something that, we don't get. But I guess thinking on the positive side, like you said, Big Cass was the only negative for SmackDown. That's it. And there's lots.
And Jeff Hardy is not a bad consolation prize. His best work came when he was on SmackDown as a single star. So he can still wrestle. He's massively always been over with the crowd. He's going to be a good addition. There's some good feuds lined up. Him and Nakamura, him and Joe, him and Almas. I mean, you have a lot of potential even still with a guy like Jeff Hardy, who's got a name that who can elevate some of these guys that we want to see get to that next stratosphere.
Well, who do you think Almas is going to feud with initially? Do you think he's going to go after Hardy right away?
I think he gets a teaser feud before that, and then I think he goes to Hardy.
And Doug, what do you think about the Superstar shakeup? Was there anything that maybe you wish that one brand would have got?
Kind of wish KO and Sammy would have stayed on SmackDown. And those are the names that you're going to see the biggest on Raw is KO, maybe not necessarily Sammy, but KO, but Bobby Roode. Really excited for Drew McIntyre to be up on the main roster instead of NXT. Kind of not liking the fact that Dolph he's tagging with Dolph. I think he should just be his own little star, but we all know it's going to come eventually where Drew will turn on Dolph and make his own little singles push. So looking forward to that. SmackDown getting Jeff Hardy and Samoa Joe is huge, I think, for SmackDown, along with Cien Almas coming up from NXT is great. Big Cass could care less for. I mean, he can go back on the injured reserve for all I care. Sanity will be a great add income too for SmackDown. I think it'll just it'll broaden everything. But SmackDown did definitely get the better of the two shows, and I look forward to watching SmackDown even more.
Yeah, I totally echo everyone's thoughts. And Samoa Joe and Cien almost are my two biggest wins, I think, for SmackDown when I look at that. And the main reason why is I think that Cien has so much talent, and they can do what they meant to do with Del Rio with him. And Cien isn't, from what I know, as big of a troublemaker as Del Rio obviously was. So that might be a very good thing. And I think Joe is going to be able to have those classic matches. As for Raw, I think that Rude might do very well on Raw. I think that they have the possibility of turning him heel and making him one of the top heels on Raw. I actually have high hopes for him. I have very low hopes, though, for Breezango. I think that they're actually, even though they are kind of a comedy tag team, yes, they're going to get a lot of losses. I don't think that they're going to be able to do the Fashion Files as much, or it's not going to be as good on Raw as maybe it was on SmackDown. And that's mostly due to the writing staff. But time will tell with that. And, obviously we have a few weeks. It's only been really a week since the Superstar shakeup. So there's a few weeks that maybe need to pass before we'll be able to make a definitive answer for it.
We forgot that Miz went to SmackDown as well. So they got to win there.
You're right.
Yeah. I had to look it up first.
Another benefit for SmackDown.
Because I was like, wow, well, who? Wait, I think we're missing someone. And the thing is, when is Daniel Bryan going to feud with The Miz? Do you do that as a SummerSlam thing, or do you do that next year's WrestleMania?
Both.
Both, okay.
That feud, so the thing is, their feud has been going on for years. You can have an initial feud and, let's say Bryan beats him, but then Miz wins the championship. That feud kicks right back off. Because now he's like, yeah, congratulations, you pinned me at Battleground. I'm the WWE champion. Their feud doesn't have to be something that is just 3 months and they go away from each other. They should always be sniping at one another, even if they're not necessarily competing. Bryan's always going to be annoyed with Miz. Miz is always going to be doing the it kicks. They can be in a lot of tag matches. They can be, and of course this requires some long-term thinking, but they can be in, those multi-level feuds, right? Where you feud with someone at the pay-per-view, but you're feuding with somebody else during SmackDown, and you have multiple people you're going after. This SmackDown has the potential to be as good as the legendary SmackDown 6, where we had He Who Shall Not Be Named, Angle, Eddie, Chavo, Ray, and Edge, and then they were tearing it up, and then you had Brock Lesnar at the top, and it was like, oh man, you're getting great matches week in and week out. This is a stacked show. I forgot about Miz, and I love Miz on SmackDown. He fits here so much better because he could be champion, and I wouldn't blink an eye. If you told me he's going against Lesnar, I'm like, well, he's not going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Or, Roman, he's never going to beat him for the World Heavyweight title. He can beat him for IC, but he's not winning the championship.
So, that brings up another great question for you, Roger. What'd you think about Jeff and Jinder going at it?
Jinder Mahal validated every bad thing I've ever said about him in 2 matches. On Raw, he literally forgot that Chad Gable spent a good minute and a half working over his leg, and didn't even bother to sell it. Not even like keep one foot up, just something very basic that a rookie should learn in the performance center. He just acted like he had never been touched. And man, I thought that would be the worst thing Jinder did this week. Hold my beer, because somehow he got knocked down by the wind in the Whisper in the Wind. I've seen Jeff Hardy do this move since 1999, and I've never seen someone take it as poorly as Jinder did. Like, he just watched Jeff miss, looked at him, and then fell down. Does he have lag? Like, I don't understand how he thought that was a good idea. Like, at the point in which you were out of position, can't you call an audible and do something else?
He should have acted like he missed, like he blocked it, is what he should have done, and then they should have redone the spot. That's what someone else would have done if they weren't Jinder.
All he had to do was, Jeff missed it, and then he walks over, picks him up, throws him into the ropes. Jeff does it again. Problem solved. No. The guy who is the worst person to ever hold the WWE Championship can't execute basic spots. I am so glad he's off SmackDown. So glad.
And Jeff Hardy won.
Wait. Aaron, last year, and I quote, anyone with the right booking deserves to be WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to tell me that's true?
I still agree with that. I think anybody with the right booking deserves the right to be WWE champion. He did not have the right booking.
No, you're telling me that Jinder Mahal, this guy who cannot wrestle pretty much at all, with the right booking deserves to be champion.
Yes. I still maintain that. I agree. I think that this was one of the dumbest botches I've seen in the longest time. Dumbest botches, not funnest. Dumbest botches I've seen in a long time. And yeah, no, I look, everybody's going to make a mistake. Everybody's going to. And I will take that away. The writing, you do not go from being a jobber to champion in 2 months. That was terrible writing. That was dumb. And WWE wonders why their revenue was down on SmackDown. There's a reason for it. It's because who was on top.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for one of it. He'll do a shit interview. He said, "Yeah, it's just that I think a lot of the fans are racist, and that's what really is the problem." And then you probably then I would just play that over and over again for Roger just to see what happens.
Yeah. So anyway, Jeff Hardy is still champion. Moving on though, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Doug, Lesnar retained again. He's retained twice now. We've all expected him to win. Where do they go from here? For either.
I think this was the out that they needed, and they completely missed the opportunity here to give Reigns the title, to get the title back on TV for everybody to see it defended every month at a pay-per-view or something along those lines. And I really do think that that's what they're going to be missing on Raw. But the idea, I guess, is that the more Roman Reigns loses to Lesnar, the better it's going to be when he finally does beat him. They're trying to get a sympathy vote for Reigns. The fact that how this match even ended with Brock Lesnar winning by being speared through the cage, I guess it's supposed to make you feel bad for Reigns, but I love how they kept showing the replay and saying that both feet have to touch the ground in order for you to win this match, and it clearly shows Reigns' feet are touching the ground while Lesnar's are still on the cage in the air. I mean, where do you go from here? Is this something that, now we're going to have number one contenderships or anything like this? This has been a mix-up of who's doing what, where, and why, with all this shakeup and everything, because now you have Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns at Backlash for what? There's no title on the line. There's nothing there. They're not going to be feuding anymore because Samoa Joe's on SmackDown and Roman Reigns is on Raw. What's the point of this match?
Is it possible they gave up on Roman? I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, and I will admit that even after my statements over the last month and a half about how he's going to die with Roman Reigns, but they have put everybody else seemingly in the main event. I wonder if there's a point where they finally accepted, we can't make him a face. We have tried everything under the sun, and they don't like him. It is time to move on from him being the top babyface. Now, Vince has all his big guys that he wants on Raw. He's got the Bobby Lashley. He's got McIntyre. He's got Strowman. Maybe he's decided, I'm turning Roman heel. And I'm moving him out of the face spot because if I can't get him over this way, his formula, he's had one formula his entire life, which is build him up to be invincible. Well, that backfired because we hate him. So, I mean, it's true, right? Like, they booked Braun Strowman nigh invincible, and we enjoy him because he's entertaining and he still loses. We hate Roman because it's the Cena formula, which was the Hogan formula, which was, every other formula. Maybe they gave up.
And the thing is, though, if you look at it from one standpoint, Strowman, he can actually wrestle. That's the one thing that I think that we just, he would have like a punch here, kick there, but if you need him to do something, he will do it. He can sell too. That's the other thing. So I think that says a lot about him. With Roman, I think that he phones it in most of the time. It's like he has the same move. Superman punch, spear, clothesline, maybe a body slam. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Strowman,
I don't know so much that it's ability because I think Roman has shown when given the right opponent, and granted, AJ Styles could carry us to a 2-star match, so maybe he's not the most fair example. But Roman has turned his game up before. Like, his matches with Strowman were good. His matches with AJ were good. His first match with Lesnar was really good. Granted, he spent majority of it getting destroyed. His match with Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank after Rollins came back was a pretty good match. The problem has usually been his other matches have been terrible, i.e. his match with Cena, his match with Lesnar at 34, a lot of the Elimination Chamber, eliminating an unbelievably dominant Strowman just looks stupid. I don't think it's Reigns' ability to go in the ring. I think it's that his character has sucked. Like, even the Vince's boy thing was the stupidest attempt at trying to get him over. Like, it was such an insulting joke to pretend like Brock Lesnar, the guy who once sued the company, is Vince's boy, and yet the guy who is going into his 4th consecutive WrestleMania is the one who speaks for the fans. I'm not going to go into that rant again, but they have done his character terrible, especially when you compare it to how well they've done Braun's character. I think they just sabotaged him. Like, they really gave him as minimal a chance to get over without him being someone like a CM Punk who had a cult of personality, or Stone Cold who could get over in spite of their stupidity. I don't think it was because of his in-ring. I think they booked that character awful, like literally awful.
I don't mean it just that. I meant, I guess I probably worded it wrong, but it was like, all right, like we look at Braun, and yes, we believe that he did the right thing with that, but it was like Roman was just giving it. It was like handed to him. He's like, here you go. You're going to be the next John Cena. And I think that really ticked a lot of us off. Like, even Cena, as much we'll yell John Cena sucks. At least when he comes out, he's actually he's trying to improve his ring work. But as soon as he does that, it's almost like WWE says, no, stay with old John Cena. No more adding a stunner. No adding this. You're doing these moves, period. And I think a lot of it has to do with WWE.
Real. Him getting away from that stunner was the best thing for everyone. It was the ugliest stunner I've ever seen in my life.
Well, yes, but at least he tried something new. That was the big thing. Like Roman, I don't see him doing anything new. It's just the same thing, the same arsenal.
So here's the thing, though. Cena, we don't see nearly as much anymore. And when we were seeing Cena, when we hated him, he was the focal point of Raw or SmackDown. That's all anybody was talking about. He was always in the world title match. Everything was about Cena. And that's when we were like, we've seen enough. And the thing with Reigns is very similar. I will give WWE some credit because I feel like the past few weeks, they've been taking the attention off of Reigns. Reigns has only been in really one segment that I at least when I've been watching it, that I can really think of. It's like, oh, Reigns is only in this little area with Lesnar, and that's it. And then they move on to all these other things, which is good. That actually makes me go, oh, okay. I'm interested now in seeing maybe what they're going to do. I will say, I don't think that Vince has given up on him, but I think that Vince is probably trying to pivot a little bit more. And he's probably saying, look, we have Brock Lesnar. We're paying him. I think they said it was $500,000 for every match that he's doing now, and $100,000 for every appearance. At least these are reports. So, I mean, take it for what you will. And so you see that and you're going, all right, they're going to use him sparingly, but they have to get the title off him at some point. Do they do that with Reigns? I don't know. I mean, if you built him up this much, I think you need to. But at the same time, what I would do is I would turn him heel in the match, or I'd turn him heel right before. I would have him do something to get the fans to boo him, and then have him come out. And I think Roger had said it last time. Have him come out and say, I won this in spite of you, and then have the fans boo him more. That's all you have to do. You can make him a heel champion. And if you do that, when you turn him face, he'll be way better. But I don't think he's given up. I think it's a pivot. We'll see where they eventually go. In my opinion, I still think you have to get the title off Lesnar because it needs to be on the pay-per-views. It needs to be there. Not having it there is doing a disservice, in my opinion.
One little comparison. If we remember The Rock back in the day, he got Die Rocky Die chance. And they turned him heel. And he turned into the corporate champion. And they turned him heel for like a 5-month span. And when he turned face, now I'm not saying Roman is Rock because Rock has more charisma in his pinky than Roman will ever have. But they turned him heel and let him show a much more interesting side of his character. And when he turned face, like Aaron said, he was beloved. And he was a beloved face for 4 more years until he went to Hollywood. You could do a similar thing with Roman, where you turned him heel and let him be Vince's boy. Let him be the corporate champion. Let him stop wearing the vest and come out in suits and talk about how he's better than these people. And he doesn't care about the indie darlings and how he won this in spite of all these stupid fans who don't know anything about the business. Because deep down, that's what he believes. Let him just turn his personality up to 10. After about a year or 2 of that and having some well-booked moments, you'd have a quality face. As opposed to the Cena route where we went from despising him to kind of just being indifferent about him to he went away and then we finally appreciated him, but it was far too late.
I agree. That was Lesnar and, of course, Reigns. I guess we're done with that part of it. So let's talk about Nakamura and AJ Styles. I missed this match. I'm not going to sit there and say I watched it. I actually did miss this. Is the only match I missed. Aaron, how many low blows?
It was just the one, I believe, during the match. I thought it was a good match. I think it was probably a little bit better than WrestleMania because I didn't have as high of hopes for it. It is obviously going to move on to a third match for this. I will say, I know Doug, obviously New Japan aficionado, seeing Nakamura in this heel state, in this more vicious nature. What is your take on it? Do you like seeing this side? Do you think it was smart to go heel, or should they have kept face?
I think it's smart to go heel. I think it gives him a better personality. I mean, I've actually liked Nakamura now that he, the no speak of English, because I think it both laughs at WWE's, foreign heel kind of type person, but at the same time, it gives him a little bit more of a purpose, King of Strong style. You kind of have to be a heel to be a King of Strong style, to be so devastating, look at Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe talks big. He is big. He does big moves. Nakamura is kind of going to have to be the same way to get him over big. To make it go to a low blow in order to make him heel, though, I don't know if that was necessary, but I like him as a heel. I prefer him as a heel. I think he'll have a good heel run, with only being the getting the title, I think will only help him in the future.
Yeah, look, Doug is more familiar with his work from NJPW than I am, so I agree 100%. I've enjoyed this character of Nakamura more than, and I liked Nakamura in NXT. That's the funny thing, is that his face character worked very well in NXT because NXT is built around the matches, whereas WWE is booked around the promos, and so he just didn't work in WWE. They tried to force this Prince-like character on him, and it was stupid, and his matches were underwhelming because he wasn't motivated, and all different things. So him going heel, he looks much more motivated. Doug, I do have a question though. I feel like, and you've seen his match with AJ and NJPW, I feel like something hasn't really gelled the way I expected it to in WWE. What do they need to put on that kind of match that we know both of them are capable of?
Besides a little bit more time. And that was the one thing I was really hoping for in this match, because of the aspect that it seemed like it was going to be a 5-hour pay-per-view, and I was really expecting it because there were so many short matches. I knew that the Royal Rumble thing was going to happen, but you can always skim time off of that 90-second between entrances. I thought they were going to get the time here. It didn't happen, but I still think you're going to see that epic match. It's just a matter of when and where. The turn at WrestleMania, if the turn is the moment, this is the setup, I guess, for a long haul run. where you and I don't know where you really go with next. I don't want to see it at Backlash again because this is going to be 3 matches really, really too quick, which is what WWE does different than New Japan. Is New Japan will make it almost a year-long thing to do 3 matches, and it makes it more special, the build-up between everything. This seems a little bit rushed, but hopefully at Backlash they give them the time. You have a hatred for each other. This has now become a blood feud. I think they can put on that kind of style match, whereas in New Japan, it was a kind of a blood feud match at that time. It became a friendship afterwards aspect because of AJ leaving to go to WWE, and same thing with Nakamura, and it was for a title. But it really needs that one clearly defined heel, one clearly defined face, and then the time. One of the things I like about New Japan better than WWE is the false finishes, the aspect that in each match that you watch, truly either one of them could win, which I think WWE doesn't have a lot of. I think we all predicted the same people in the Greatest Royal Rumble, except for the Greatest Rumble match. All of our picks have been the same. If you look at our picks for this year, other than maybe 1 or 2 pay-per-views, we've all picked the same people. Is it predictability, or is it just, yeah, we all think it's going to win because this is the way they're going and this is the way they're pushing it? It's all too obvious. And sometimes WWE throws that curveball, where this one they threw the curveball in the fact that they did a 10 count and made it a draw between them. So hopefully this is the setup that pushes it into the next gear. So hopefully their match at Backlash, with given the time, but at the same time, do we truly believe Nakamura has a chance of winning? That's my biggest thing.
I think he should be winning, but it depends on what WWE wants to do. I mean, his character, it's there. To me, it's comedic, but it would only be comedic if he did it a couple of times. The me speak no English, but I do like his new theme song, though. I can actually say that.
I picked Nakamura to win every WWE title match he's been in. I'm picking him again for Backlash. It's same thing with Reigns, right? Like if Reigns has another match, I have to pick him because I'm all in at this point in time.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like at this point, Nakamura would be better off not being champion and having the Money in the Bank briefcase instead.
He would benefit from it a lot more, especially with the heel aspect turn of it. But how many? I guess it comes down to how many chances do you give a guy to win the title before it becomes unbelievable that he's ever going to win the title? Almost like Roman Reigns right now, which is what I think they're trying to do with him is build that sympathy of, oh, look, he's had these chances, he just can't get over it. No, Nakamura needs to have a solid win. He needs a solid win because he hasn't really had a solid win or a defining win. And especially now that he's heel, I think you need that defining win. And I think they should. I don't think this is the right time for the title match. I think he needs to step back from the title run without damaging the character somehow. But I think you've pushed it too far by saying, well, he's going to be at the Greatest Royal Rumble. We're going to redo it again. And now we're going to redo it at Backlash. And what? You're going to keep redoing it until he wins? Or he needs I won't say a better feud because the best feud for him is AJ Styles. It just needs a better run. He needs to be built up stronger. He doesn't need to be facing off in tag team matches against AJ Styles every week until Backlash. He doesn't need to be facing AJ Styles. He just needs to be strong. He needs to be built strong all the way up into Backlash where he's beating people clearly. And I mean, named people, whether it be Randy Orton, whether it be, he clearly did beat Rusev, but you got to have him start beating some named people, some people with legitimacy, and build him up. And then it's going to be a bigger hype match for AJ Styles versus Nakamura. And that's what will get you the money.
Doug, do you want to talk about who won the Greatest Royal Rumble?
No, I don't, because I'm sad.
I'm too.
I'm very, very sad. And the moment the first person came out, I became sad because I was like, "There's no way they are going to let my pick of Daniel Bryan be the first person in and win a 15-man battle royal." So
Yeah, so what was the point of him going that long? Like, I thought that if you're going that far along, and it's just going to be a few that no one's going to care about with him and Big Cass, where'd he go? Like, that's...
Well, so the main reason why is so Rey Mysterio held the record for being the longest.
Yeah, I don't care about
number
that.
Number two is Chris Benoit. So it's a way to kind of push Chris Benoit a little bit further down the rankings, because if you, like, for example, if you talk about, the top 5 longest reigning ones, right?
Oh.
So you have Daniel Bryan do it this year. You have somebody else do it. It's a way to get him off the books.
And it's also like, realistically, this is a record that won't ever be broken except for a match like this, because normal Royal Rumbles just don't go an hour and 20 minutes. Like, that's just not a thing. So it's a way to put Bryan up there and he can hold that record. It was also a good way for, Bryan in no way, shape, or form looked weak for getting tossed out, I think, second to last after going a minute or an hour 16.
Third last, because it was Cass. Cass knocked him out. He was the third.
It was like he was tossed out second to last. Cass was the last person tossed out. Yeah. And look, I don't give a crap about Big Cass. Hopefully Bryan taps him or pins him or whatever he needs to do at Backlash so that he can move on to somebody who's good. But it was a good way to get Cass some heat. He eliminated the crowd favorite. I thought it was very obvious that it was either Bryan or Braun. And when Bryan came out first, I was like, well, my pick wins, because I don't know who else could have, it wasn't going to be anybody else in the middle. It wasn't going to be Orton. It wasn't going to be Jericho. It wasn't going to be Owens. It wasn't going to be Shane. It was going to be Daniel Bryan, or it was going to be Braun Strowman. And when Daniel Bryan's music hit first, I was like, well, Braun Strowman wins. Rumble itself is all right. It wasn't anything. There's one legendary moment that we obviously need to talk about.
Yeah,
but other than that, this was a by the numbers Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Roger, I want you to talk about it because you had the better story than what we had.
So obviously the Greatest Royal Rumble came on at a unique time. So it was on during the day. I was at work. We were watching it at work. So we have it on the big TV, and we have people walking in, coming in, and the great Titus O'Neil comes in. And it's a long stage, so Titus decides to run, and he runs, and he trips at the bottom, and he slides when he falls pretty much underneath the ring, to the point where all 3 of us who are wrestling fans are watching this and cracking up laughing. Like, tears are in our eyes. Customers who are coming in who are not wrestling fans see this and start laughing because they see Titus, this huge, he's 6'6", big guy, trip and basically do, a comedic just slide under the ring. I've got other people coming up. I mean, we just dying laughing at how stupid Titus looked. And the best part was hearing the announcers, which is not something they usually do when there's a clear botch. They could not stop laughing. I mean, Corey Graves legitimately laughed like I laughed when Ric Flair talked about how genetically superior he was. Like, you could tell he was chuckling. Michael Cole was laughing. I think they showed it on replay at least a dozen times. It was by far the moment of the night. I have watched it like 20 times, and it's never going to get old for me. Like, that is, I know where that GIF is going to be seen worldwide.
You should just everyone should have a loop of that over and over again. Just every angle that they have from social media, from what WWE has, and it just continually plays. So then if you're feeling bad or if you're mad or sad, you just look up and then you can chuckle a little bit. You're like, well, I'm not as mad as he was at that point. But yeah, that
there's reports too that Vince was laughing so hard he was almost crying, and he ordered the replays of it because they showed it like 8 times. I mean, they showed it nonstop. Like, they didn't just show it like as soon as it happened. They showed it like 5 minutes later. They're like, by the way, guys, in case you didn't know this happened.
In slow motion. Like, they really made it clear to everybody at home watching what exactly had happened.
Vince is like, he's going to pay for screwing me over with Daniel Bryan, that night. We're going to really lay into him. That makes more sense now if Vince, because they would never do that if it was anyone else. But if Vince like, listen, I'm still ticked at Titus from a few years ago.
The thing is, it was so funny, and Titus is not a megastar. Like, let's say it happened to Daniel Bryan, they would do everything they could to not show it because Daniel Bryan has a lot of fan support behind him, and that might make him a little more human. And they don't want to do that. Titus, on the other hand, it's Titus. All right, like
He's a comedy character.
Yeah, like him doing that, it's like whatever. It's not a huge deal. You can do that.
That happened to Roman Reigns. They would have canceled the Greatest Royal Rumble.
I think it's also because how tall he is too, and like he slid. Like I bet that was probably 6 feet, and he slid all the way into the ring as well. So it's like he couldn't stop. He just went in dry. Like just
it looked so smooth that it legitimately looked almost like he faked it. Like that's been the newest rumor because it was so clean the way that he just tripped and slid and right underneath and completely. I mean, he almost vanished, and he's a big guy. Like he's not Hornswoggle slipping and going underneath the ring. That's a 6'6+ dude who just vanished. So it was honestly the funniest Rumble moment I think I can ever remember. Like it was hysterical.
the look on his face though afterwards was telling that he messed up because he looked ticked. Like he legitimately looked like he was ticked off. There's no way he planned that. He was that mad about it.
Well, if he had planned it, it wouldn't have been that smooth. That's how you know he didn't plan it, because he would have botched it, because he is not a coordinated human being. Michael Cole is like the dorkiest person on the planet, and even he clowned Titus, talking about how he did this once before in NXT when he was like trying to carry, I think, a beer keg when they used to do those stupid competitions, and he tripped up the ramp. So like when Michael Cole is making fun of you, you've done something wrong in your life.
Do you think Vince was like, turned to like one of the writers? Come on, come up with more stuff. We need to really lay it thick on Titus right now.
I hope they do. I hope that this becomes a meme for them.
It's going to be hilarious from here on out, especially like if Titus Worldwide comes out and like in the highlight package it'll say Titus Worldwide, but then you'll also see him falling over and over again, going underneath the ring.
It's going to be funny until they run the joke into the ground, because you know they're going to try to have him recreate it naturally.
Oh, Joe.
It's exactly.
That's going to be horrible.
And we're going to be like, it was funny. It was like when Batista did the thumbs down, and you're like, that was cool. And then he kept doing it, and you were like, stop. Like, don't, like, there's a limit in which something goes from funny to overexposed. And WWE doesn't understand the concept of subtlety. Like, we're going to, by the next time we do the podcast, we're going to be like, wow, I'm really sick of that.
I don't know at this point. Every time I turn it on, it's just hilarious. Just the whoa. But I'm glad. I wish they would have had more camera angles. That would have made it even funnier. Anyway, so yeah, that was the greatest Royal Rumble. Winner got a big trophy and a green belt. And that's pretty much it. I think the Rumble went on a little too long. It just felt like it dragged at times, but Titus did bring it up. So
is that belt like a defending title or just a ceremonial title?
I think ceremonial, but that doesn't make sense of why would you have a ceremonial title for and a trophy.
Yeah, because you had the trophy. So if it's just like the Andre, then you just give him the trophy, and then the next person the next year wins the trophy. What was the purpose of the belt?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I don't know why you would have a belt and a trophy. Unless, I mean, at least he could carry around the belt. He really isn't going to carry around the trophy very much.
And it's called the Greatest Rumble Championship, right?
Yeah, and on the side of the belt, they had the flag of Saudi Arabia there. Right. So I'm assuming that it's more ceremonial. And as Doug had mentioned, I think, probably to carry it around would be my guess.
Anyways, but yeah, so that was the Greatest Royal Rumble. And let's thank our sponsor, HostGator. Are you a blogger or podcaster, or you're just not happy with your web hosts? You need to check out HostGator.com. You're going to find web hosting made easy and affordable. HostGator offers unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, one-click script installs with a free zip on your hands on the best control panel out there. Stop by today and try a free demo. So easiest, and if you use special coupon code OFFTHEMARK, you're going to save 25% off your web hosting packages. So what are you going to lose? Check out HostGator.com and take a bite out of your web hosting costs. Also, make sure you check out Section 86's Off the Mark page and click on the banner at the top to save big on items from WWEshop.com. All right, we're finally going to talk about NXT TakeOver. It happened about a month ago. Doug, what did you think about it?
This was another amazing show. This really could have been probably, if not their greatest show, one of the greatest shows that they've ever put on. It was top notch from the beginning to the end. Great matches, great storylines, everything. I know it's going to sound bad, but everything was great. That's all I got for it.
And Aaron, what did you think of it?
It was top 3 NXT pay-per-views that they've ever put out. I'm going to be partial to Dallas for a very long time, but this is definitely up there. I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. I didn't want to see Ember Moon lose the title. That was unfortunate, but there was so much that happened in there, and to kind of dissect it all, I guess we'll save kind of the biggest thing for last. But let's talk about Aleister Black. Aleister Black, he won the NXT title in a match that I think we all, it could have gone either way. It was one of those where you did not know for sure who was going to win. And I mean, they did a great job. There was a lot of good false finishes. They got the crowd involved in there, and Aleister Black came out looking really good, I thought. And I'm actually not the biggest Aleister Black fan. Probably out of you three, I'm probably the lowest on him. I don't know how he's going to translate in general. I think that his entrance is good. I think that he has a good presence in the ring, and I can see what makes him very special. But I'm not saying that he shouldn't have won the title by any means, but I'm probably the lowest on him out of a lot of people, I would say. But him winning the title, it was good. It was good storytelling, and I think that whoever takes the title off of him, they have to have a heel that they build up that is strong enough to do so. At this point in time, I would say it would be Adam Cole, but he just won the North American title. So I don't know if that's the route that they would want to go. So I don't know who they're going to have take the title off Aleister. In fact, I actually kind of wonder if they're going to have Aleister be around there for a very long time. Like he's going to hold the title for a little while and then maybe have a super heel take it off of him.
I don't know. I think you'd almost have to give it to Ciampa, though. I think he's the biggest heel there.
He is definitely the biggest heel. That was an amazing entrance for him.
I feel like Andy's nailed on the head because to me, if you want to conclude the Ciampa Gargano feud, there is no better way to conclude it than to have one of them as the champion. Ideally, Ciampa steals Ciampa already gets amazing heel heat. And one of the things NXT does is they're very similar to NJPW in that they don't really have a lot of dusty finishes. They don't have dirty finishes. At best you'll get a heel cheating like Vega comes in and does a Hurricane Rana, but you always get a very decisive finish. If Ciampa were the guy to break that and he were to steal the title from Aleister Black with some underhanded tactics where he got him disqualified and just disgusted the fans, Gargano being the heroic babyface who chases him down and wins the title in the main event as Ciampa, mocks him for all his failures and says, you beat me in the unsanctioned match that never actually happened, but I'm the first one to get to the title. You can finish that story the right way. I think Adam Cole's another good idea. I think EC3 is another fantastic idea because that guy has star written all over him if you build him properly. Not only just NXT, he could be very successful on the main roster if used properly. So basically stay away from Raw. NXT, it's true.
You're right.
Takeover New Orleans is everything that we want WWE shows to be. It's compact. It's under 3 hours. 3 hours is about the max, in my opinion, for a show for me to care. It's compact, it's good writing, it's long storytelling, it's fantastic matches, everything makes sense. When we look at every single one of those matches, I'm not a Baszler fan, but Ember Moon losing the title and moving up made sense. Gargano and Ciampa's feud was about 9 months. That made sense. The North American Championship ladder match, even though it was a spot fest, super fun. It made sense. They went all out trying to kill each other. Everybody looked good. Every single one of those guys, I don't even like Lars Sullivan, and he did a good job in that match. Killian Dane did a great job. Ricochet immediately showed you who he was by doing a springboard shooting star press to the outside. I've never watched a match of his before, and the first move I saw, I went, oh my God, this guy is amazing. Adam Cole was basically Edge 2.0, the ultimate opportunist. He saw his moment, he climbed up there and retrieved the title. Velveteen Dream looked great. He's 22. They just do such a good job of elevating all of their talent in a match. It's rare that you have 6 people coming out of a ladder match and all 6 of them are better for it. That is almost unheard of. And they do it consistently on NXT. Every one of those matches, they looked good. It's just the tag team match was fun. Aaron, I'm sure, has a thought on that as far as the whole Roddy Strong joining the Undisputed Era. I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. I think Strong desperately needed a character change, so him joining the UE makes perfect sense from both an injury standpoint, since Bobby Fish is going to be out for a while, and hey, let's let Roderick Strong actually do something other than Roddy versus the World, because Roddy being more of a jerk is way more entertaining than, yay, good guy Roddy with, as Bobby Roode would say, a marginally hot fiance and a kid, and he's just fighting for his family. Like, this Roddy Strong is much better. So, and the title match goes without saying. That match, fantastic.
And just real quick, so I talked to Roger when we were watching WrestleMania, and the thing I did not like about so I'm glad that Roderick Strong joined the Undisputed Era. I think that's fantastic, and I agree with his points. The thing I did not like is moments before he turns, he does I think he did a suplex onto the apron to Kyle O'Reilly. Like, he did a huge move to him, and so he's attacking Riley and Cole the entire time, and it's like, if you're gonna just turn, like, why are you doing that? And I one of the things I brought up to Roger was, I remember when Scott Steiner turned on his brother. The entire match, Scott Steiner was not in there at all. And then he tags him in, and then he hits Rick. And it was a like, oh my God moment. It was a like, what are you doing? And I like seeing that in, those types of matches where, look, they're not even touching each other, or if they do, it's very light. They're not doing huge moves to each other. You don't do your finisher and try to pin them and then turn, on your part. Like, it just, that I didn't like that aspect of the storytelling. And so, I mean, I don't think that's even nitpicky. I think that was the mistake in the tag match. But as far as the Undisputed Era goes, Doug, Adam Cole, North American champion. We have Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong now as the tag team champions. Where do they go from here?
Good question. They're only going to go up. I think it's good that they have them all for right now. It's probably going to be maybe SummerSlam will be the next time that they do a call up for NXT. So build them up, have them do their thing, which they've been doing excellent. So have them build up, be strong during the Money in the Bank, and then maybe lose some stuff at the SummerSlam one before finally coming up as a group, maybe.
Do you think they do a Horseman-like stable move where they get all the titles? Maybe not the UK title, but they could win that too, where Adam Cole wins the heavyweight championship and holds like the UK, the heavyweight, and the North American, and then you have the Undisputed as a tag, and they solidify themselves as the greatest stable in NXT history.
They could do that at SummerSlam and then just leave everything and go up as a group. I think that'd be an awesome way to do it, to actually leave with the titles and just, all right, we've done everything here in NXT. We out. We're going to go do this up in the main roster. I think that'd be awesome, but I don't know if that's necessarily. I think they've only had, one person leave with the title or two. Paige and Asuka were the only ones that technically left for the main roster with titles. So
Kevin Owens left with the NXT championship.
That's right. And
he dropped it, though. He
did eventually drop it, but he debuted as the NXT champion.
Right, but I don't think Paige dropped it.
No, she handed
and
it
Asuka
to
didn't
Regal.
drop it. So that's more, I guess what I'm saying is Kevin Owens dropped it at least. I say they go up to the main roster and then just vacate the titles on NXT. Again, interesting storyline, things that they not necessarily have done on a major amount, but especially of that level. But if you're going to try to get a whole group over, what better way to get them over than to have them go up together as a group, as a dominant group, and establish themselves on one of the shows, be it SmackDown or Raw.
Well, and one of the things, just real quick about Adam Cole, I love him. I think that he's fantastic, and having the North American title, I think, is really cool. The only mistake I think that they are making with that is they call it the NXT North American title. And I've always felt that you're doing a little bit of a disservice, because you should just call it the North American title. And then it can go anywhere. It can go to Raw. It can go to SmackDown. It can go to NXT or 205 or wherever you want it to be. And I think that's what they should do with, the North America and the UK. If they have a Japanese title or Asia or whatever they do, just call it the WWE title. Or you don't even have to do that. Just say it's the North American title.
I think you're looking at this from the wrong perspective, Aaron. I think what they're really doing is that they're going to go back to the territory system. That's been a rumor for a while. The local globalization. So I think they're going to have an NXT division just in North America, UK, and I think they're going to go maybe India, somewhere around there, China, Japan, one of those. And I think that's what they're going to do. So you have an NXT champion there, and then then there's their territory, and I think that they'll then also have their own shows there as well, and then they'll have their own shows in the UK. So you have NXT as its own brand, but it's the NXT territories.
And I think that's cool, but I think that if you did just call it the North American title, it should be NXT, because if Adam Cole goes to Raw, let's say he still has the North American title, he gets called up to Raw and he's defending it. He's like, yeah, I got this North American championship. I can defend it anywhere I want. For whatever reason, let's say WWE gets rid of a couple of titles. Let's say it's just the Intercontinental and the WWE title. They get rid of the Universal and the US. You can have the North American and it can float anywhere you want it to go. And I think that'd be a good thing.
Well, so I would say this, though. That would be inconsistent with WWE's branding logic. Like, there are no championships that do not have a brand in front of it. There is no World Heavyweight Championship. There is a WWE Championship. It is a WWE Universal Championship, a WWE Intercontinental Championship, a WWE United States Championship. So on NXT, logically, it has to be the NXT Heavyweight Championship, the NXT... I don't even know if it's a heavyweight championship. They used to call it the NXT Championship. NXT North American Championship. I don't think it's the UK Championship. I think it's the WWE United Kingdom Championship. So I just don't know that, like, if you say North American Championship, that doesn't tell me where it's placed. And is that the United, like, it does need to distinguish from the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, because you do have that weird overlap. So I can kind of understand why NXT makes sense.
I'm saying you could call it the WWE if you wanted to go that route. That'd be an option. But anyway, that's a little more nitpicky. I think
we could spend an hour on that.
Yeah, I think that they have a really good future. But I think the meatiest thing here, and so and Doug, I want to ask you, Gargano and Ciampa. Gargano wins, as he should. Great match, another 5-star. They got to continue the feud. So do you go to the next one? Do you hold off? How do you keep this going?
I think you do it like we were talking about earlier, though. You have Ciampa somehow wins or becomes the next number one contender. I'd give him the championship and have Gargano fighting for it, or it just some way. Maybe even make it a 3-way match between Gargano, Ciampa, and Aleister Black. And have Ciampa win it that way. That way, there's still a chance for them to fight again one more time for the title. But either way, this is a feud that is going to keep going strong, and I love seeing it. I don't understand why they can't get these kind of feuds going on the main roster. But this is an amazing feud, and every week I look forward to seeing what's going to happen, whether it be a talk or whether it be an actual match or one of them running in on the other one. It's been amazing so far. And to see it conclude, you're probably going to see one go to Raw, one go to SmackDown. That way you can have another WrestleMania moment between them on the actual main roster. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think both of them deserve to be called up, but at the same time, I want to see this story continue here in NXT because that's where it's at its best.
I think, was it whatever the TakeOver Rumble was, TakeOver Philadelphia? I had mentioned an idea that someone at Reddit had, which was have Ciampa come back and he helps Gargano win the title. And it taints Gargano's title victory. I don't necessarily know that story is out of play, because you could still have Johnny versus Aleister Black in like a great match. They're fighting. It's very respectful. Both of them are going one-on-one. Referee goes down. Ciampa comes in, hits Black with a crutch, drags Gargano on top. So Gargano has no play with it at all. He wins the title, but Ciampa says, "You still never won a thing without me," because his biggest win would be beating Ciampa. And every one of his title wins were either with his partner or with his assistants. And now you can still go back to Johnny, despite being the champion, still has something to prove. So for once, you could actually have a champion chasing a challenger. And you could even have Ciampa do something weird like, nah, I don't want a title shot. I'm not going to let you prove anything. And now you have a more desperate and angry Gargano who wants to prove to Ciampa that he can beat him once and for all. You could stretch this out another year if you wanted to.
Oh, easily. I mean, you could have Gargano win, and then you could have Black feud with Ciampa because he screwed him over, and you could almost do that on TV if you wanted to. But here's the problem that you run into with NXT, and it's kind of like a comedic thing to me anymore, is that they put out 57 shows a year, and they have to jam pack all the stuff in a 1 hour show. And it works so good that you want more. Like, you really want more. But yeah, so I think that with this, you can have those 3 feud for a while. You can probably throw someone else in the mix too. I don't know off the top of my head who could do it, but pretty much insert anyone.
Velveteen Dream. Remember, Black and Dream had a fantastic feud. You could come right back to that.
Yeah, so you could do something where maybe Velveteen Dream helps Black almost win. And then somehow, I don't know, Gargano gets DQ. I don't know. You could do something like that as well. So then you have those 3 guys going at it the entire time. I mean, so
Andy, do you think NXT would be as good if we saw 2 hours of it every week? Because I feel like one of the reasons we like NXT so much is that it's very limited. Like, when you see them, it matters. You see them usually once or twice a taping, which is usually a block of 3 or 4. And then we get to see them at TakeOver. The reason we like, to Doug's point, AJ versus Nakamura doesn't feel special anymore because it's going to be the 3rd time in 4 weeks. Ciampa versus Gargano, 1 match. 1 time they fought in 9 months. So that even the next time we see them, if it's 3 months down the road at the next TakeOver, 2 matches, 12 months. I mean, if you do 2 hours of television, you either have to put more green rookies on there, which I don't think we really particularly care about, or you start doing more of these great matches more frequently and take some of the shine of what I think makes NXT special, and that you save the big matches for the big shows.
And see, that's the problem I have is with the hour. I wish that they would take some people and almost put them. See, this is the thing. I almost would rather have a 30-minute show with the people the guys that are always at the house shows. Like like if there's 8 matches, we will, the first 4 matches, because they're going to be people who are up and comers. Almost throw them on that, even for like a 30-minute show, something completely different, like an NXT Saturday morning, something along those lines. Because then you can have those guys shine, and then you can have them somehow win ways to get on to the regular show. But at the same time, like I want to see Cassius Ohno. I want to see him, but I can't see him. He hasn't been on for a while, which stinks. And there's other people too. You could do a lot with EC3, Ricochet. I mean, you could do a lot with all those guys. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just I want so much more, and there's almost only so much time, and you get that hour, and they fill that hour too. It used to be it was like a 42-minute show. Now it's like 59 minutes and like 33 seconds every time.
And also,
I mean, that makes it a good show because it keeps you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more. That means that they're doing something right. The only thing, if I was going to make a small addition to it, maybe is do a 15-minute pre-show, which has, and it's a dark match, and that's where you have talent that, like, look, let's just see how they do in front of a live crowd. That'd be the only thing potentially they could do. But I think an hour for wrestling, and especially for this type of wrestling, is what you need to do. SmackDown or Raw would not work with an hour. They just have way too much talent and just way too much stuff going on. That needs to be 2 hours. But NXT, an hour, so good. And 4 to 5 pay-per-views a year, even better, because those pay-per-views matter. And those are, you could theoretically not watch any NXT and then just watch the pay-per-views, and you get everything you need on those pay-per-views. And they are solid. They are so good. We have not really ever said, oh, that NXT pay-per-view was bad. We've never said that. We've maybe said, oh, that was pretty good.
There's a couple where you're like, it was good. It's not, we wanted more, but it was still good. It was better. And then we're like, it was better than pay-per-view, which is sad that you say that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Usually our criticism is that it wasn't great.
Exactly. But
which I think if that's the best thing, the worst thing I have to say about you is this time you weren't great. You're doing something pretty well.
It's like, hey, Austin Aries had to take on Baron Corbin. It's like, you would think that Austin Aries could carry any. Well, yeah, it was Baron Corbin, right? Austin Aries versus Baron
Yeah.
Corbin. Okay, so like
To be fair, that did have the best spot ever, in which he didn't even duck under the clothesline. He just ran.
Because he just
So
ran right
really-
under it.
I think that was totally worth the price of admission, just seeing Austin Aries literally run underneath a clothesline like he was Rey Mysterio.
But yeah, I guess that's the great thing about NXT is that you watch the show and you're like, I want more, and I think that is a special part of it. I almost wish that like when they do the takeovers, they only do 5 a year. I wish they would do one more, so it was like almost like an every other month they would have like a pay-per-view that they would lead up to. That's I think if they did that, I'd be okay, even if they just kept it an hour show. But still, then you're talking 58 episodes a year, opposed to like WWE where they have 12 pay-per-views and then they go 52 weeks as well, and it's 2 hours. You know what? I think that's the thing. It's 2 hours. So SmackDown and Raw need me 1 hour from here on out. Oh well. Yeah. Overall take.
Parting question for all of you guys. Was this show better than Dallas?
Close.
I want to say Dallas is better, and that's again, I'm going to go with the favoritism of the fact that we were there. But this is my close second.
I think you're right, Doug. I think I'd have to throw the second, and then there's one I'm missing as well, and then I would throw Chicago in. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with Doug. It's a like 1A, 1B sort of thing. It's 100% versus 99.9. Yeah, I mean, you watch both of these; they're fantastic.
It's almost like we had to be there, and then we could have figured out which one was better. So, Roger, top 3 NXTs.
This and Dallas are my 1A, 1B. And then I would probably throw TakeOver London or TakeOver Our Arrival. It's one of those two. The night that Sammy won the title is, I still think, one of the greatest NXT like culminations of a storyline ever. But London was also really good. That crowd was phenomenal.
The chants.
The chants are great. I mean, the chants to this day still persevere. We were at Dallas, and I think that was a very special moment. Like, we saw some fantastic matches. I would say Nakamura Zayn was a 5-star match. I think most of us had it as our match of the year. But man, this is a card that I don't think the ladder match was 5 stars. I don't care what Meltzer says. I think it was a really good match, but I don't think it's one of those like upper echelon. This wasn't Omega Okada. This wasn't Shawn Taker. The greatest matches of all time. Like, I don't even think this is the best ladder match I've ever seen of all time. It was really good. I'm not taking that away, but like, I've seen Money in the Bank matches I thought were better. Having said that, Gargano Ciampa was pretty much perfect. I thought Black Almas was great. Like, this might have been a better card. And I say that not taking anything away from how good Dallas was. I mean, we saw Asuka and Bayley in a great match, Revival and Alpha in a great match. Like, it was really good. The only thing I would say that takes away was that, and we've said this about other cards, is that how you end the night matters. And they kind of ruined that stupid Balor versus Joe because they were so obsessed with not letting him bleed. And they killed the pace of the momentum. And yes, while we appreciated being able to chant those things that we chanted that I cannot repeat, I don't think we would have that opinion if we weren't there. Like, if we were just watching it at home, we would have been like, what are they doing? This is annoying. Whereas I think if we were at Gargano Ciampa, we would be like, this is so unbelievably amazing. This is fantastic. So this might be better. I will always like Dallas more from a personal standpoint because we were there. It was part of the WrestleMania experience. I'm not sure that this card wasn't better. I just don't think I can be a fair judge because I was live at one. It's like telling me which one was better, WrestleMania 19 or WrestleMania X7. X7 was probably better. I saw 19 live. The experience for me is just, that's more important to me. I saw, I was there. Like, it feels just more special.
Yeah. Overall, yeah. NXT takeovers, they tear it up every time we watch them. I'm looking forward to the next one, which is coming soon.
What is the
next one? Chicago. Money in the Bank, Chicago.
So that'll be in just a few months. I can't wait for it. I'm excited. So that's all the time we have for this month's show. If you're into the Twitter, you can follow the show at AllTheMark86. I want to thank 86 Productions for hosting and editing the podcast. And I want to thank all of our listeners for taking the time to download and listen to the show. And for Roger Cave, Doug Hahn, and Aaron Hughes, I'm Andrew Hughes. And until next time, We'll see you in the ring.